Prayer. Samantabhadra's prayer today is the last prayer here, concluding the section begins with the syllable. We have aho. This is the concluding the prayer of the Samantabhadra, and actually the aho begins with this syllable to express how wonderful that the true nature of awareness is. We talked about in this prayer the true nature, the nature of the ground nature. It has the at least we explained like at least 15 qualities. So here now the conclude the aho. This shows that the path to liberation, the recognition of the true nature, how wonderful, and what a great sort of joyful and relaxed the nature of awareness is, because there is no sort of greater happiness and joy than relaxing in our own nature state of the mind, our own true nature. So that's why the prayer here begins with the syllables. And the syllable specifically aho, Tibet, the symbolize according to the Dzogchen here, represent or the meaning, the great emptiness that is pure from the beginning. And actually the syllable is the essence of the, we have 30 letters of the Tibetan alphabet. So each letter is actually connected with the syllable. And according to Tibet, the alphabet, the letters, like we have 30. So the essence of each letters, the syllable, that's the essence of the letters. So that shows, like, for example, here the many ways you can explain actually is very important syllable according to Tibetan Buddhism. So in here sort of symbolizes that according to this prayer is the emptiness, the ground nature, and it is the essence of everything. And then we have the syllable ho is always, of course, you know, symbolize the expression of joy and happiness. It is an expression of joy from the primordial sound sort of system. So therefore, both together aho means to relax in the nature awareness state of the great true nature, love, compassion, and wisdom throughout the universe to ourselves and to all sentient beings. So this activity is great joy and source of great happiness. But in this case, these two syllables, I and ho, is symbolize the union of the primordial purity. In Tibet, we say kadak is means the union of the sometimes they call cut through, but it means like the union of the primordial purity, this ground nature. And Ho is here the spontaneous present, which is in Tibet, Lundup means like, So that is the conclusion. I mean, this Ho, actually we can teach from this actually 2 syllables. It's really profound and vast. So that is actually short way to explain what is the meaning of the Aho, the meaning of the syllables. It's actually A is the represent that our true nature. Ho is if you recognize that true nature, then how wonderful. This is the most important to understand. So that's why the Ho is the expression that, the how wonderful if you recognize our true nature. So that's why this kind of syllable, Aho. And then the prayer says, from now on, whenever a powerful yogin and the nature clarity of undiluted awareness makes this powerful aspiration. So what is meant by powerful yogin here? This powerful doesn't mean that someone who has a sort of physical muscle, but this means that the power to be able to maintain the mind in totally naked awareness, to practice without any sort of distraction, practice without losing the focus. So those with sort of this realization are the powerful yogin. So the realizations here are the prayer says that, clarity, undiluted, and awareness. Of course, you understand the definition of these words, right? We, like 2 months, we're talking about these things. But it means sort of relaxing in the nature state. That's all. It's that is that if to be able to maintain your mind with these sort of qualities, then that's all. Nothing you have to change, nothing you have to find anything. So, and that kind of yogi, here we are saying a power for yogin, that kind of, yogi who practice this prayer with the right motivation will be a very powerful aspiration and will be very beneficial and can do this prayer at any time. So that's why you have to understand the power for yoga means, now you understand that. So it's nature clarity of undiluted awareness. To be able to maintain in that state of mind, then we call that power for yoga. Then doesn't matter who you are, what kind of clothes you wear, what kind of you practice, doesn't matter. We call your power for yoga. And then the next prayer is all beings who hear it will attain enlightenment in 3 lifetimes. So now you understand the power for yoga, but the benefit to practice this prayer will be for those who hear this prayer recited by a powerful yogi or practice by a powerful yogi or yogini whose mind is relaxed in the nature state of Dzogchen will reach enlightenment after 3 births. Whoever hear this prayer from this powerful realized beings and making this aspiration with all the strength of their genuine love, great compassion, perfect realization, and rest in that awareness without any disturbance, and rest sort of within that mindfulness and make this powerful aspiration will reach enlightenment within 3 lifetimes. That's the prayer says here. Because once someone hears this prayer by powerful yogin, that person or that yogi makes a karmic connection sort of to the Vajrayana path, you know. And when someone makes the perfect connection to the Vajrayana path, that person might get connected in his lifetime, and I mean just one lifetime, this lifetime. So in the prayer, all beings who hear this prayer will attain enlightenment in 3 lifetimes. This means you have to understand that not just to hear the prayer, right? When we recite the prayer and somebody heard, it doesn't mean that person will attain Buddhahood in their 3 lifetime. But here the prayers is someone hear the the recite the prayer will enlightenment in 3 lifetimes. This means that not just recite the prayer without sort of practice, but when the powerful yogi recite this prayer, whoever hear it, it is very what do you call it? It's possible can change their mind because the powerful yogi sort of makes a strong karmic connection to the Vajrayana path, So from the Vajrayana point of view, if we connected to this path, the path of Vajrayana, then we have a great chance of attaining the fully awakened state, the Buddhahood, in this lifetime. But if not in this lifetime, then the prayer says that it will attain within the 3 lifetimes. So this means that if we take this path and practice correctly, then we are sort of guaranteed to achieve enlightenment within 3 lifetimes according to this prayer. Of course, the key is practicing. You practicing according to the instructions of the teachers. And that's the most important, not just hear the prayer. That would be very lucky, right? If somebody recite this prayer and you hear it, you will attain enlightenment. No way. That's no way according to Buddhism. You have to take the path and you need to practice. But why then this prayer say someone hear the prayer and then chance to get enlightenment? It means like the powerful yogi actually practice the prayer or recite the prayer with the pure motivation, then it can change your mind. Oh, this is perfect. This is very good teaching. This is a very nice prayer. I want to practice this. That is the point, Then you practice, you take the path, and you practice according to the prayers, instructions, and correctly. And then sort of we have a chance. So in order to connect to the Vajrayana path, there are many causes and conditions, right? Causes and conditions. First, you have to receive the teachings. You have to find a good teacher, and then you have to get these instructions. all of this, there's many causes and conditions. For example, like I gave you this teaching uh, uh, with sort of my lineages, the oral instructions, and with my pure motivation. Uh, uh, Whenever I teach, I correct my motivation all the time. So almost 99% I have a pure motivation. Uh, so then, so that, I hope you are now sort of connected to this path. And if you practice based on this powerful sort of aspiration and according to the instructions of this prayer, um, then, according to the prayer, you will get sort of some kind of uh, realization, and you have chance to attain liberation in uh, this lifetime, even like I can say this lifetime, if you don't screw up this path, Really, it's not uh, Buddhism. The teaching is very important to listen carefully, seriously. Teachings are need actually very pure, with motivation, how you use the words. Like for example, my root teacher, when he taught, he never ever say like funny words and make you laugh. And he said, you can't do that. You have to teach very correctly, not teaching in practice. These are not for fun. You are looking for sort of a genuine path, which is right view, right meditation, all of that, right result. You have to seriously listen and investigate the teachings. Need to really be careful, right? So therefore, especially like sometimes we are talking about this, blessings, and sometimes I see, people are laughing and teaching. I feel that not really people are really not taking the teachings very seriously, and like sometimes teacher also make them laugh. It's nice. Sometimes students get bored. Maybe like teaching too long, and then practice also very long. Then sometimes make joke, and it's makes you sort of wake up. It's very good, but usually when you listen teaching, you have to sort of listen with your devotion, with your ability, like your wisdom. Very important, and especially teacher also when they teach with right motivation. Which is I hope my teachings will benefit, or I hope these teachings some sort of put some seed in your mind, and then you feel, oh, I want to practice. I want to. Otherwise, nothing we can do. In each of us, individually, we have to take responsibility. Receive the teaching, very important. The more important is every day you have to meditate. Otherwise, nothing can change. So that's why especially like Dzogchen teaching or the Vajrayana teachings, these are very, very important. And then the prayer here says you have chance to get Buddhahood this lifetime or 3 lifetime. That is the actually Vajrayana's sort of special quality, not Mahayana, but if you practice, if you take this path, Vajrayana, and practice this kind of teaching, Dzogchen prayer, then you have really quickly sort of get the result. That's the special quality, we have. That's why Vajrayana is very sort of not commonly, the Vajrayana teaching we have to keep sort of secret because most people don't really ready to practice this, and then not benefit, So in this section, the prayer explains the benefit of practice Vajrayana teaching, right? So if you practice according to this path, then you have chance to get enlightenment within 3 lifetimes. So that is the benefit practice Vajrayana teaching. And then now the next prayer says, at the time of the eclipse of the sun or moon, during an earthquake or earth rumbling, at this time, at the time of solstice or change of the year. So now here, the prayer explains that there are some certain times when it is sort of particularly good to recite and good to practice this prayer. But actually, of course, whenever you have time is good time, right? There is no bad time to practice this prayer. Whenever you have time, you can practice. But here, sort of, if we practice the prayer, then, especially these days, these times, will more sort of important time. If we practice the prayer when sort of there is, for example, eclipse here says, the sun or the moon, so that is important time. Why? Because an eclipse, externally, like for example, the scientific point of view, in this eclipse, the solar system, the moon goes around Earth, right? Earth goes around sun. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then these, what do you call it? Sun, moon, earth, these 3 bodies will sort of unable to avoid each other. When this happens, it makes the temporary sort of darkening on the other body, right? So this temporary darkening is, we call it eclipse, right? Scientific point of view, I think that's true. And then an eclipse internally, sort of, for example, Buddhist point of view, these 3 bodies, sun, moon, earth, represent 3 channels and 3 emotions. Because in tantric system, for example, let's say for a woman, most of the time, according to tantric teaching, they use the red element or the sun moves in the right channel. We talked about these 3 channels. You understand the 3 channels, right? These are not sort of physical channel, but energetic channel we're talking about. This, like according to tantric system. So the red element moves, or the sun, they use that, so moves in the right channel, and the white element or the moon in the left channel, and then we have the darkness or the earth and the central channel. But also the man and the woman a little bit, their men's channel are opposite of this. But for example, women like this, But the point here is when an eclipse, either the red or white element enters and is held within the central channel, when this happens, then the person's sort of the emotional states are more sensitive, according to Tantric teachings. So according to Tantric teachings, this very internally speaking, for example, the just ordinary people, ordinary person, or unenlightened beings, according to Tantric teaching, the red element in the right channel, white element in the left channel, and then dark element in the central channel, then because of that, the negative emotions of attachment, anger, and ignorance are very much present and also very sensitive. People, when this happened, people easily to get angry or very sort of, the sadness or happiness, or very sensitive, according to Tantric teaching. I believe it. So during this kind of sort of internal eclipse of our physical and our mental element, then this prayer, this practice, this meditation will be especially beneficial, because when you practice at this time, it will be easily to experience your practice and easily to connect it with the nature state. So therefore, according to this prayer, the eclipse, when this is another important time that the prayer says we can practice, because easy to change your sort of your motivation and your negative emotions. And of course, and then another is during the earthquakes, is also, according to this prayer, important time to practice, because, for example, externally speaking, many beings are, when the earthquake, great fear, suffering, and get panic when earth rumbling, right? And many numbers of beings died, injured, so when the earthquake happens, right? And internally speaking, then these channels and wind elements will make also corresponding movements, because of the movement of the mental emotions, this panics and suffering and fear, all of that. Therefore, this is a good time to practice and to sort of purify the channels, winds, and essence. So we also need to understand that, this time, like there are lots of people died and we get earthquake, so I think this is a very good time to practice. And then prayer says the solstice, right? We also should do this prayer, the summer, and we have two, right? Two solstices, summer and winter, right? Because at the solstice, the earth and also sun are changing their directions, right? Therefore, the seasons are changing, and therefore the position and balance of element also change, both sort of externally and internally. Then these different sort of energy patterns cause the wind to shift within the body. Therefore, if a powerful yogin recite this prayer at these times, it will help very much to develop the positive energies and will have sort of more balance, That's, I think, in this prayer specifically explains when, first we talk about in this prayer, the one ground, the one nature, two paths, two result, and that shows how it is important to understand and to practice. And then this prayer explains what is the benefit if you practice according to these instructions. Because in order to practice, first, very important to understand the value of the practice, right? So this explains that. And then after that, if you interest to practice, then when we should practice this prayer. So it shows of course, the anytime it is good to sort of recite and practice this prayer anytime. And also other important dates we have, right? We have Buddha's birthday, Buddha's Enlightenment Day, so other important dates also very important if you want to practice. And if you don't know when this important date, but it's anytime, it's very, very good. So that's how when you practice, you understand that, right? So therefore, this prayer explains some sort of specific times. Now, when we recite this prayer at these important times, how should we practice this prayer? We just recite the prayer? No, right? So that's next to explain. The prayer says that at these times, visualize yourself as a Samantabhadra and recite this prayer, and herein all, thus all beings of the three realms will gradually free themselves from suffering and will finally attain Buddhahood through the aspiration of that yogin. So this explains how we practice this prayer. So when we recite the prayer, first we recognizing or we thinking that the entire universe has sort of become completely liberated into their own nature, the original state, right? That's the ground. That is the nature of everything. That's very important to recognize when you practice this prayer. First, that. Second, we have to recognize our own nature, which is the primordial, the original awareness as Samantabhadra, right? This is you visualize yourself as Samantabhadra. That's sort of internally speaking, which means we have to recognize our own true nature, which is we call Samantabhadra. Second. Third, very important, when we chant the prayer with pure motivation. With pure motivation. So you remember, the prayer is nothing other than our motivation. Prayer means wish, motivation, hope, prayer, right? So when you say the prayer, you have to remember that your motivation. In Tibet, prayer means your motivation. So when we chant or recite this prayer with pure motivation and thinking that all living beings are sort of hearing our prayer in their own language, so that they will understand very easily, right? Otherwise, if I recite this prayer in Tibet, you have no idea what it means, right? So we have to sort of feel that they understand completely what is meaning of the prayer, you know. So there are three things you have to, how we practice, you know. So with these three sort of, I call it like concentrations, are how we practice the prayer. Do you understand? And then the benefit of practice and recite the prayer is all, and this prayer says all beings will gradually attain Buddhahood if you practice correctly. What is Buddhahood? Buddhahood here means that the ultimate state of wisdom. Do you remember we talk about the five wisdoms? The liberation. That wisdom sort of manifests love and compassion for all beings. So at that point, the entire sort of universe become love and compassion, wisdom and Samantabhadra, which means like all these appearance, all these phenomena are awakened in that original sort of luminous state. That is what the Buddhahood is. Do you understand? That is the liberation. So at that point, whatever we hear, whatever we see, everything become love, compassion, wisdom, Samantabhadra. That's all, nothing other than that. And out of that power of love, compassion, and wisdom, then we wish, we pray, and we practice for those people who don't yet realize this, who don't yet have realization, or who don't understand this prayer. For them, we wish, we practice, then our prayer will be very powerful. That is mean by this, the power for yoga. Do you understand? That is the benefit. When you get enlightened, hopefully this lifetime, then your love, your compassion, your wisdom, both relatively or ultimate, everything, you become a very powerful yoga. Then whatever you wish, you pray, you practice for all people who don't understand their true nature, who don't awaken their mind. You pray for them, it will be very, very powerful. That is this means. Now you received this Samantabhadra, the Dzogchen prayer, according to your capabilities, according to your wisdom. And I gave you some good sort of foundations for Dzogchen practice based on this prayer. Whatever I taught in this teaching, this prayer, is the foundation. It's not Dzogchen teaching. I never teach Dzogchen publicly. But good foundations for your Dzogchen practice. According to my lineage, my root teachers' roles, they told me don't teach Dzogchen publicly. I respect, and I will not. That's why you might think that in this prayer we talk about the true natures, the five wisdoms, the characteristics of the nature of your mind. You think this is the Dzogchen teaching? No, it's not Dzogchen teaching. Very fortunately, I have special teachers, and especially how they pointing out your true nature is very unique. I didn't teach that at all in this prayer. That will be very individually. But then why, the reason I taught this prayer, first reason is I would like to Bodhicitta Sangha to make a deeper connection to Dzogchen lineage, And being connected with this teaching is very lucky if you sort of continually to practice. Therefore, it is very important to sort of discuss an authentic teaching of Dzogchen prayer, This teaching is very general idea, kind of about Vajrayana or Dzogchen. That's why first reason I taught this prayer. And second reason is many students are already engaged in preliminary practice or are interested in sort of engaging in preliminary practice. So it's good to have some kind of a sort of direct teaching relating to your own sort of true nature. Even though it's not completely pointing out your true nature, but it's very related when we talk about these true natures. It's very sort of gives you, if you understand this, then it sort of gives you enthusiasm, sort of confidence, and also it inspires you, I want to practice, So that's why it's very, very good. And third reason is for Vajrayana practitioners who have completed their preliminaries and who are sort of doing Dzogchen practice. Then I think this aspiration will be very nice to do. Also, you have to understand that in order to receive the pointing instruction, the Dzogchen, the teaching about the nature mind, just to finish practice, the preliminary practice? No. When you're ready to receive the Dzogchen teaching, then you will receive them. What is meaning when you're ready. For example, if you practice preliminary 400 or 500 times, are you ready? That doesn't mean you're ready. You're ready to receive the Dzogchen practice means like every single day you have to check, investigate with your actions, physical, verbal, mental action. How much you have a compassion, devotion, renunciation. These qualities tells you you're ready or you're not. And the Dzogchen teaching is we called the living teaching of the Buddhas, or we called the living speech and sort of heart of all enlightened beings. Because it talks about our true nature, right? Not past, not future, just right now. And it's so important to practice Dzogchen teachings and understand the true nature. But doesn't really matter if we are not ready, we're never gonna understand it, never recognize it, or maybe some kind of idea when we talk about true nature. Oh, I got it, it is. But sometimes you have lots of doubt. You have, we are not so sure. Once you really understand the true nature, you feel different. Your confidence, and how you think, it actually will really change. So now, we have been sort of able to connect to these authentic teachings without many difficulties. But what I'm trying to say is that it is not enough just to receive the teachings, but it is also important to keep the quality of your practice high and keep the sort of commitment in your heart firm, and to actualize the meaning that we discussed in this prayer. And then it's so important to remember. I'm sure maybe some of you don't remember when we talk about the true natures. If I ask you give me like one characteristic of the ground nature. So it's so important we spend lots of time on this prayer, like many times, right? So please don't forget the meaning of the prayer. And not only that, but then you have to put that knowledge into your practice, commitment is so important according to the teacher's instructions. And then eventually you're going to get enlightenment, either this lifetime or next lifetime. But it doesn't really matter whether it is slow or quick enlightenment. The eventual sort of result will be the same if we are going to sort of this direction, if we're going to take the right path, then, the attainment of Buddhahood for everyone. Because fortunately, we have this nature, the ground nature, the seed of enlightenment. So, very important to take the Vajrayana path according to your capabilities, according to your capacity. And what else? And finally, for example, I practice this prayer every day. Sometimes good, sometimes not, right? Up and down. But I try to practice every day. But if you cannot practice every day, that's fine. But you have to practice it once a week, or twice a week, or once at least a month, right? Otherwise, if you receive the teachings but don't practice, not so much beneficial, right? This is very wonderful thing to do, Very, very nice prayer, and we call it aspiration prayer. And usually, of course, the aspiration prayer is one of the greatest methods for benefit others, right? Because the aspiration, bodhicitta, is nothing other than to practice this prayer. So without, for example, without the prayer means wish and great motivation. Without wish, without aspiration, we don't act. We don't do it, So this is very important prayer. Not just it is a Dzogchen prayer, but it's, if you practice this, you will be connected to the Dzogchen and also develop your bodhicitta. So therefore, I am sort of very happy and to have this good opportunity talk about this prayer. The first time when I started, I was a little bit sort of worried, maybe this is not so good time, but now I feel very that you connected to this path, this practice. Most of you always here, and you didn't miss this prayer, the teachings, and so therefore I hope there are some sort of beneficial, and you can find some useful and good practice in this teaching, in this prayer. If you understand the true nature of your mind, even though you practice it like 1 second, great benefit. If you don't recognize your true nature, don't worry about it. That's not the point. The point is we have to develop our love, our compassion, our bodhicitta. These are the very common and benefit for all beings, no matter who you are, what kind of religious you believe, what kind of person you are, doesn't matter. Without love, compassion, that person, according to I think that person is very bad. With love and compassion, very, very, then doesn't matter you believe cause and karma, you believe past and future life, doesn't matter. You have compassion, you have love. That's the essence of the life. That's very important to develop. Once you have that, then we should sort of practice more, like this kind of teachings, And what else? Those who are practice the preliminaries, please take in your practice very seriously. Death is very uncertain. That's always we have to remember. We never know what will happen. So make sure that you have some what do you call it? These you always have this insurance, right? Insurance. If there is something happened, then we need a peaceful mind, happy mind, compassionate mind. Then doesn't matter whenever we die. We're going to die, that's for sure. That is not fun. It's very the biggest obstacle in our life. But also death is very good teacher. I try to remember impermanence every day. Sometimes get panicked, right? Oh, when am I going to die? Getting old. But makes me very appreciate all these teachings that I receive from my teachers. And it gives me sort of devotion and respect. More I remember impermanence, more I remember my teachers and their kindness, So, what do you call it? You guys, very wonderful people. But a little bit worry is that I have always, you understand very well the teachings. You understand very well essence of life. But the problem we have is the laziness. We don't practice enough, meditate enough. People sometimes say, I don't have time to practice. I don't believe that. We can make time to practice. If you don't have to think about getting enlightenment. But even the meditation practice, very important. Become a good person. Nobody can change. You can change yourself through your practice, through your knowledge, right? Then we can become a very good person. I think that's the essence. I think that's the essence of Buddhism. How become a good person. That's why they're talking about enlightenment. Most people, when we're talking about enlightenment, something else, something, someplace beautiful, something exists outside. No. Enlightenment, when Buddhism talking about enlightenment, it's talking about a good person. How we become a good person. That's what we call enlightenment. If you become a good person, full of love, compassion, wisdom, bodhicitta, that's enlightenment. And that makes become a good person. We can think about, for example, and it's impossible, but if whole world, billions of people, all the people have compassion, love, totally different. That's impossible, but individually we have responsibility, so we have to try to practice. Okay, that's all. And I think we should recite one more, the prayer, if you want, and then we have to dedicate the merit. So, when this is also very important. This is the last teaching here in Minneapolis. So when we, for example, when we have done anything that is good and virtuous, it's very important to dedicate that merit for all sentient beings, right? So we have done some good teachings and practice for this year, right? So now we have to dedicate that, not today, but all of this, virtues and good deeds for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, of course, most of you know how to dedicate, but you should start by thinking about all the virtuous things you accumulated or you have done in your life. And then we should also think about all the virtues and activities completed by all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, our lineages. Then we bring all of that together in union and visualize dedicating that merit in the same way the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, our lineages dedicate that merit for all beings. So that's the dedication, okay? So after they recited the prayer, we have to dedicate. So that's how you finish your practice, your teaching, your meditation. So very important. Understand? So this prayer, again, you see the benefit when the earthquakes, earth rumbling, you meditate. We already talked about. So this actually recite. We should recite this prayer. The earthquakes in Nepal, the victims. Lots of people suffering, died, and suffering. So bring that sort of kind of idea and thoughts in your mind and send them either compassion or great compassion, and with pure motivation. And then you recite the prayer. That actually also, we can say, powerful yogi and yoginis. So very important to correct your motivation and develop sort of this altruistic mind, the bodhicitta, the love and compassion when you recite the prayer and think about people who are suffering. That's how we do it. All right. Who all that appearance exists is all of samsara and as the one